Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the September 29th edition of Carolina Week.
Join us for a closer look at how Christianity plays a role in sexuality.
See which group of residents is keeping the North Carolina population on the rise.
In sports, they did it again. We'll have the highlights from Saturday's game.
And are these sunny skies here to stay? Weathercaster Katie Costa will let us know.
All that and how to Zumba your way to a better bod. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Gervais Hagerty.
And I'm Bethany Tuckle. Thanks for joining us. At a gay pride parade, it's not unusual for a religious debate to take center stage.
At the event in Durham, Remarks and Signs made it clear homosexuality within Christianity is a highly contested topic, one with supporters on both ends of the spectrum. The parade attracted two very distinct crowds. People on one side of the street cheered on their friends. The group across the road had a different message. Patrick O'Connell is with the Warn the Wicked Ministries.
You got to get the truth in their ears, and the truth hurts sometimes, right? So burning in hell is a true destination for anybody not in Christ. The Bible tells us they're already condemned because of our sins.
Many protesters used religion to prop up their side of the argument, and so did March supporters.
They just read the Bible a certain way that is more about hate and ignorance than love and acceptance, which I think is what God is really all about.
With Christianity as a battleground in the homosexuality debate, protesters and supporters both use religious symbols as weapons for their cause. O'Connell says ministers who support gays simply comfort people in their sin.
The world's going to do what the world's going to do. The question is, will the church do what the church is supposed to do?
UNC sophomore Noel Bynum says protesters like O'Connell reduce others to one dimension.
They're looking at us from one aspect. I mean, I personally try to be involved in other things like Habitat for Humanity and Young Democrats and other organizations like that. And there's so much more to us as people than just the fact that we're gay.
Bynum adds that going to Pride gives him a sense of community. O'Connell says Bynum and his fellow marchers are in the wrong community.
People that are under God's wrath joining hand in hand and trying to get mutual support, but that won't save them.
But Divinity student Daniels doesn't agree.
I'm gay, I'm Christian, and both of those things are okay.
According to the North Carolina Pride organization, the parade is meant to celebrate the community's progress while recognizing there's still work to do.
Carrboro has big plans for the future, and we mean big. Just before the railroad tracks slide parking lots, vacant office buildings, and Cat's Cradle. But not for long. In January, workers will transform the suburban-style single-story strip mall into a collection of 5-story buildings and a parking deck. Emotions are heating up for Carrboro residents as they fear losing the small-town feel. They also worry they'll have to pay higher taxes. Project spokeswoman Laura Van Sant says even if taxes go up, Carrboro residents will benefit.
The town provides fire and police services, but that's it. The town doesn't pick up our garbage. We have to pay for our own water and sewer. We have to pay for all the road improvements we're doing. So it'll actually, for the taxpayers of Carrboro, this will be a big net gain.
That's not the only proposed change in Carrboro and Chapel Hill. In 2003, voters approved a $16 million library expansion plan, but the library remains the same size. It's currently only 45,000 square feet, and it's the most used library in the state. It's hard to squeeze the enormous collection of books onto the shelves, and supporters say they need more room. Mayor Kevin Foy is asking taxpayers if they'll pay for a larger library. Taxpayers will probably want to check out this idea. As both presidential campaigners ready for the final big push before Election Day, interest on campus remains high. Students at UNC gathered at Mangum's Quad and across campus Friday to watch the first debate between Barack Obama and John McCain. Because both candidates are focusing on the economic crisis, the debate almost didn't happen. McCain didn't decide until earlier that day that he did attend. Members of UNC's Young Democrats and Tar Heels for John McCain had differing views about McCain's approach.
It was a stunt to grab headlines away from his shaky performance and lack of a clear economic policy for this country. I think he was trying to take advantage of the financial crisis for political gain.
I just think it sticks with his theme of putting his country first. I know it sort of reminds me of when he said that he would rather lose a campaign than lose a war.
With stocks down more than 700 points following congressional Republicans' rejection of the bailout deal, the rhetoric is likely to increase.
It's that time of year again. High school seniors are applying to universities across the country. Soon, thousands of applications will make their way to UNC admissions office. Phones will be ringing off the hook with people asking the question, how do I become a Tar Heel? A college application can be tedious work, but Wake Forest University has recently made a change to shorten the process. Sending SAT scores will be optional for students applying to that school, but SAT scores will still be a requirement at UNC.
Testing is one of many tools that we look at when we evaluate candidates. And our point of view, again, is the more tools, the better.
The first deadline for UNC undergraduate applications is November 3rd.
Community college has become a less expensive higher education, with enrollment increasing more rapidly than ever before. Compared to earlier years, Wake Tech went from an enrollment increase of 6% to 13% last year. Johnston Community College went from 3% to 7%, and Durham Tech went from a 2% decrease to a 2% increase. Saving money on tuition and not worrying about gaining the freshman 15 are perks to transferring, but these students also miss out on 2 years of dorm life and sporting events. UNC senior Brian Woodard transferred from Alamance Community College and wishes he'd been here longer.
As far as missing out on activities and stuff, we get to go to the football games, basketball games, just not as many. So I think that we still get the college experience here.
Carolina has a special program called Tar Heel Transfers that reaches out to transfers and helps get them acquainted with the university.
Chancellor Thorpe is on a tour of North Carolina in an effort to reach out to high school and college-age students before his installation on October 12th. Thorpe, a former chemist and researcher, sat in on an honors science class at Chapel Hill High this afternoon. Students demonstrated an experiment they're currently working on. They also shared plans for and fears about going to college. Thorpe encouraged students to pursue their passions and explained that coming to UNC would allow them to do just that.
The environment is one where you have the opportunity to find out what it is that you really love doing.
The Chancellor passed out UNC pins and t-shirts before leaving to continue his tour. He'll be in Asheville later tonight. UNC housekeepers are no longer required to work on weekends, but now they're worried about how this will affect their workload during the week. James Holman cleans the floors of Ram Village 4 and 5. It takes him about an hour to sweep, mop, scrub, and wax each floor. He started working for UNC almost 4 years ago. When he switched to Ram Village, he stopped working on weekends. For Holman, Chancellor Thorpe's announcement is good news, but he's not sure about the logistics.
All we're asking for is just for them to make sure that they staff us properly. We need more workers during the week, because if you don't, or if they don't give it to us, you all will see the difference.
A committee of housekeepers, managers, and administrators has set October 15th as a deadline to decide whether or not to hire more workers.
Lots of us ride transit buses, but not many pay much attention to the drivers. That changed on Friday when Chapel Hill Transit celebrated Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Most bus drivers say they're happy with a simple hello or thank you from their passengers, but others thought that they should have gotten more publicity because few people even knew such a day existed. So next time you get on the bus, flash the driver a smile. A little appreciation can go a long way. With gas prices as high as they are, more people are taking advantage of public transit. The transit system has gotten new buses, some of which are more efficient with fuel and better for the environment. The rise in fuel costs has forced the transit system to make gradual changes, such as putting all of its buses into service, which means less time for operational checks and cutting back on routes. Unfortunately, that also means some employees are working fewer hours than they used to, which could increase your wait time at the bus stop. Rather than looking for gas at low prices, many of us are just trying to find gas, period. During the weekend, massive gas shortages plagued the entire state. Gas shortages resulting from Hurricane Ike left many local stations high and dry. Local stations did begin to receive limited shipments of gasoline on Sunday, but for most of the weekend, drivers had to do without. Even with those shipments, most stations still don't have premium or mid-grade fuel. The North Carolina population might be on the decline if it weren't for the Latino population.
Most of that increase isn't coming from immigration. We'll have more when we come back.
So lost. No, I am not, man. Dude, I dropped my phone. Yo, the road! Whoa! Okay.
How would you like to save your life from an ugly or reckless driving death? Don't answer yet. There's more. Act now by slowing down, and we'll guarantee you complete satisfaction.
That's awesome!
In the real world, there is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up.
Whoa, Andy, slow down.
What's that? I don't know. Something I kind of made. Ooh, what's it do?
What do I do? Well, thanks for asking. I ring my bell and I like to dance. What do I do? Well, thanks for asking.
Ow! Yeah, it still needs a little work.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
The North Carolina population is on the rise, and there's a trend behind this increase. Reporter Sarah Latrin explains why from the Global Education Center. Sarah?
The U.S. Census Bureau estimates that by 2050, 30% of the U.S. population will be Latino, and for North Carolina, that is definitely a realistic estimate.
Francisco Alvarez Calderon was born and raised in Peru. He has 2 siblings. That's not a huge family, but it's bigger than most non-Latino families in the U.S. The Hispanic population is growing faster than any other group in the country. Tony Asion is the director of El Pueblo, a statewide advocacy and public policy organization dedicated to helping the growing Latino community. Asion says that growth brings about a greater need for education of both Latinos and non-Latinos.
And we're trying to teach the non-Latinos that, hey, Latinos are not the bad guys. We're not here to be harmful. We're not here to take jobs. We're not here to take all these other things that we are constantly being accused of.
Lots of people are taking notice of the growing Latino population in our state. Carolina del Norte is a large-scale media project of the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication that focuses on that growth.
We thought the Latino issue is a large issue for the state of North Carolina. And part of our mission as a journalism school in the state is to think about what's important to the state in terms of what issues we cover.
As for Francisco, he feels the issue of population growth only strengthens his ties to his native culture.
I feel that if I meet any Hispanic on Franklin Street or on campus, I'm bound to at least say hi to him. So I think there's a pretty strong bond between the Hispanic community.
Well, the Latino population is the one that's keeping North Carolina above water in terms of growth. Between 1990 and 2000, the Latino growth rate was an astounding 393%.
Sarah, these statistics mean politicians are taking notice of this growing group?
Well, Latinos make up 8% of the voting population and an even greater percentage in such key swing states as Nevada, New Mexico, Florida, and Colorado. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how their votes will sway the November election.
Sarah Latrent reporting from the Global Education Center. Thanks, Sarah.
UNC School of Public Health now boasts a new name, the UNC Gillings School of Global Public Health. The $50 million gift from Dennis and Joan Gillings will provide funds for student health organizations to continue taking part in helping to find cures for diseases in more than 50 countries. As part of the international organization GlobeMed, undergraduates at UNC will get hands-on experience through partnerships with groups such as Help Alert Uganda. UNC junior Bianca Nugent has already traveled to the developing country.
I actually lived in a place with no running water, electricity. It was really awesome. The first 2 weeks I did research in HIV and TB.
School of Public Health officials say the name change reflects their commitment to healthcare solutions here in North Carolina and around the world. And now we've got weathercaster Corey Davis.
Corey, I hear we might have a big change in store.
Well, if you like cold weather, I have good news for you. I'll have your cooler forecast coming up.
Explore new worlds. Read. Visit literacy.gov.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm forecaster Corey Davis. And after dealing with gray skies and rain late last week, we're finally seeing that the rain is gone. And as that system that brought us our rain has moved out, it's finally nice to see that the sun has made a return. And fortunately, it looks like the sun and clearer conditions will stick around through the remainder of this week. Also returning will be fall-like temperatures, as we'll feel much milder outside and we'll see a drop in those temperatures. I'll have that in your forecast in just a moment. First, let's recap the rain that we saw last week. We saw about 1.5 inches of rain from that storm system that moved through. That's moved our September total up to almost 9 inches of rain. That means even if we don't see any more rain over the next few days as we close out September, we'll be almost 5 inches ahead of what we're used to seeing this time of year. Now, of course, we saw Tropical Storm Hannah move through earlier in the month, and also this storm system last weekend. That's helped add to our total and helped take us out of that drought situation that we have been in for so long. Let's see what's going on across the area right now. Things are mostly clear around North Carolina, but if you've been outside today, I'm sure you've noticed a few passing clouds overhead. Don't worry, those aren't rain clouds. Those are friendly fair weather clouds reminding us that the rain is gone. Now let's zoom out to the national map, and you see that we're not the only ones enjoying those clear conditions. Much of the nation right now is very sunny with that warm, nice weather, including out back towards the west. However, there is a storm system right now moving across the Great Lakes, bringing some rain and thunderstorms there as far down as even into Chicago. A look at the surface map will show that this rain is associated with a low pressure system to the north and a cold front draped down to the south. And this cold front will have a say in our weather over the next few days as it pushes toward the east. By tomorrow night, it looks like it'll push through the triangle. We're not expecting any rain from it. However, it should really cool us down. Now, speaking of cooler weather, let's look at your forecast for tonight. Expect temperatures dropping below 60 degrees across the triangle. That's quite chilly, so you might need a sweatshirt if you're headed out. And also, you should see foggy conditions tonight persisting through the morning hours tomorrow, including during your commute. So take caution on the roadways. And here's your forecast for tomorrow. That fog will burn off tomorrow morning and lead us to mostly clear skies, maybe a few passing clouds overhead. A slight chance of afternoon thunderstorms, but things should stay clear as it'll be our last really summery feeling day for a while with temperatures in the low 80s. And now we'll take a look at our four-day forecast, and you see really a big cool down on Wednesday as that front pushes through. We'll go from the mid 80s down to the mid 70s, so you might have to dust those blue jeans off and pull them out of the closet. Otherwise, sunny skies through the remainder of this week, and those low temperatures will also be dropping down to below 50 degrees by this weekend. Guys, I guess it's fall's way of telling us that we are finally moving into cooler temperatures.
Well, it gives me an excuse to go shopping and buy some more sweaters, I guess.
That sounds good.
Thanks, Corey. Talk about needing time management skills. Imagine having to complete short films in 24 hours. Early Saturday, members of Carolina Production Guild brainstormed plots and dialogue over coffee and cake. Before setting out at noon, executive officers added twists to the challenge. Crews could spend a limited budget to buy equipment for shooting. Students played many roles, scouting for locations, acting, directing, and editing. And all that happened despite some battery problems. CPG's next projects are 8mm films. Now we're joined by sportscaster Aaron Summers.
So Aaron, last week we were really kind of nervous about the fill-in quarterback, but it turns out we really don't have anything to worry about, huh?
Doesn't look like it. Before the game against Miami on Saturday, that was the big question. Which backup quarterback had the juice to become the team leader? that question was answered.
Los peces del lago Crabtree y Briar Creek contienen productos químicos llamados PCB que son muy peligrosos para tu salud. Por eso, cada vez que pesques, siempre devuelve los peces al lago. No te olvides. Para más aclaración, llama a la línea de información y referencia al siguiente número o visita la siguiente página. Gracias.
Hey guys. Ooh, I've been looking for that. Has Legal seen this?
Yeah. Cheryl, what happened to your,
Oh, yeah, I know. If it gets any worse, I'll have it checked out.
Worse? How could it get worse?
Yeah, maybe we should call somebody?
I'm fine.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
For the second consecutive season, the football team is riding high following an upset victory against Miami. The Heels spotted the Hurricanes a 14-point lead before storming back into the second half. Cam Sexton came through big, zipping a pass down the middle of the field to Hakeem Nicks for a 74-yard touchdown. Heels down by 3. Only 46 seconds left, and Sexton connects with hero Brooks Foster in the end zone. Carolina leads. With the Heels up by 4, Tremaine Goddard picks off the pass that would have given the Canes the win. Instead, Carolina wins 28-24, and Cam Sexton establishes himself as Carolina's signal caller.
Watching how Cam Sexton has handled the last 18 months, hoping to be the starter, didn't get the starting job, never quit, never backed down on preparing, watching film, going to practice, whatever reps that he got, he took advantage of them, and then when his number was called, he delivered.
I felt like that I was seeing it well, so my confidence just went through the roof then, and I felt like, hey, you're here, you're ready, and this is going to work out for you.
Carolina women's volleyball had a packed weekend, taking on Maryland in Chapel Hill on Friday night. The Heels were off to a slow start as they traded points back and forth with the Terrapins. Carolina edged them out in the first game, and it was smooth sailing from there on out. With more offensive production, the Heels were able to reach Christine Vaughn and Courtney Johnston, who combined had 18 kills and 20 points to carry the Heels to sweep Maryland 3-0. Coach Segula was pleased with Carolina's adjustment throughout the game.
And I think that's a challenge. Against a team that's kind of redefining itself. And tomorrow night we're going to have the same kind of thing. We have got to be more disciplined and play at our level and not just play just to get by.
Saturday's opponent, Boston College. The Eagles came ready to play against the Tar Heels with an aggressive offensive attack. However, UNC was just as aggressive at the net, turning defensive stops into offensive points. The Tar Heels were able to win the first 2 sets with consistent play on both the offensive and defensive ends of the court. Senior Stephanie Jansma helps lead the Tar Heels to a comfortable lead with savvy veteran plays. Fellow senior Kelly Davies served the final 9 points of the match as the Tar Heels swept the Eagles 3-0. Immediately following the victory against Boston College Saturday, the volleyball players decided to share their knowledge of the game. The team held a volleyball clinic open to all the kids who attended the match. Head coach Joe Segula gave the kids a quick review of the rules and answered questions. Players showed kids all the basics of volleyball, techniques including bumping, setting, and even spiking the ball. Hundreds of boys and girls participated in the event, and it's pretty obvious they were having a good time. On Saturday, the field hockey team took on Duke in Durham. The Heels had a rough first half, falling behind a goal. But in the second half, forward Daniel Forward and midfielder Britt Van Beek decided to take things into their own hands to give the Heels the 2-1 win. The men's soccer team is on a roll, following an 8-0 rout of East Tennessee State on Saturday. Senior Brian Shiver led the way with 4 goals in the win. It was Carolina's biggest margin of victory since an 11-0 win against Rider in 2000. Junior Eddie Ababio also chipped in with an assist and 2 goals of his own, including this nice give and go with senior Gary Lewis. The number 15 ranked Tar Heels are now 7-1-1 on the season.
struggled a little bit with our Elon game, finding a rhythm, keeping a rhythm. And tonight we wanted to do a better job, and for the most part, the guys did that.
The women's soccer team, Rhodes the ACC Championship, is off to a good start, with the ladies generating 10 goals against their first 2 ACC rivals. That includes Maryland on Sunday. Here's some inspiration from the fans. The Heels were on the Terrapins like glue. They outshot the Terps 20-8. Courtney Jones lit up the scoreboard for a second consecutive game with a hat trick. Final score, 5-0, Carolina. Jones isn't surprised she scored 3 goals.
They're beautifully set up, and our team is playing awesome defense. So when you have a team like this, you're going to have to expect to score another one.
The softball team is off to a good start after the Carolina Fall Classic. The Heels played Longwood on Saturday. Anna Roberts lofted this sac fly to give the team a 2-0 win. Next for the Heels was Elon, and Lisa Norris got the scoring started with this 3-run home run. Last chance now for Elon, and watch this. An incredible diving catch from shortstop Christine Knauer. Heels win 8-0. Brittany McKinney ended the weekend strong against NC Central with this solo shot, as the Heels won 6-0 and took a weekend sweep. Coach Donna Papa is pleased, but still wants to see improvement.
It's just going to take us just working every day at trying to get better and trying to get more consistent and putting the ball in play with runners on.
The tennis team lost 8 players who graduated, but the Heels come in a top recruiting class. They kicked off the season with a UNC Fall Invitational this weekend. The Heels showed off their talent all over the court. The players expressed some frustration at times, but the doubles team had plenty to celebrate, especially Taylor Fogelman and Clay Donato, who won the doubles championship.
Well, thanks so much, Erin.
Thank you.
Not all students are varsity athletes.
But that doesn't mean they don't have all the moves. We'll tell you what they're doing coming up.
Mr. Murphy, Ed McMahon. We're starting up the neighborhood watch in this area, and here's all.
Stevie, get down here, please.
No, it's just
5, 6, 7, 8.
That's really cute.
Help play a part in the safety of your community. To find out how you can start or join a neighborhood watch, log on to usaonwatch.org.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Zumba might sound like a funny word, but it's a serious workout. Sarah Moore gives us a look at the new way many UNC students are staying in shape.
Danielle Fernandez has been dancing her whole life. But while in school in Florida, she took a Zumba class. That's where her love for this all began.
I think when you think aerobics and you think of the gym, you think of very strict, side lunge, hamstring, whatever. And it was something very loose and fluid and dancey, and I liked it.
Last December, Fernandez got certified as a Zumba instructor. She now leads classes on campus and off. But what is Zumba?
And they call it exercise in disguise, so that, you're burning calories without thinking about it. You're not doing a lunge, you're doing a hip sway, but it's the same thing.
Zumba combines Latin dance moves with cardiovascular exercise.
A lot of people at UNC love Zumba, but it does take some coordination, so I think I'll just stick to rowing.
There's a certain rhythm to Zumba. Look familiar? For some students, Fernandez's love for Zumba keeps them coming back.
Oh yeah, Danielle is great. She is very enthusiastic. She can definitely move. She just makes you want to work out and stay in shape.
Even though some have more rhythm than others, everyone here is getting a great workout. In Chapel Hill, I'm Sarah Moore, Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching.
Good night.